Hey, so welcome everybody. So as you know, Maximo, which is now Manage, one of the components in the application suite, is a collection of many different applications. Now you as a user perhaps have never seen the very long list of modules and applications that make up Maximo, which is now called Manage. So what we're going to do in this series is we're going to walk through each of the modules in the context of different areas of management, such as asset management, work management, purchasing, things like that. And so each part that we're going to do here will cover one of those areas. And we're going to look at all the modules and then the applications in each of the modules that are related to those. So going to be rather lengthy videos. I'll put a lot of bookmarks in there so you can keep track of where you're at. And let's get started. So let's begin with some organization here. So during the series, we're going to cover all of the blue squares, certainly starting with asset management and work management. And then we'll work our way into inventory and purchasing, and then we'll wrap it up with analysis module and the administration module. So this particular part will be focused on the work management square. So let's get going on that. So let's start part 2 of work management in the planning and scheduling module. Now this particular module is the home of all of the graphical scheduling applications as well as a couple of dashboards. So the graphical scheduling applications are very different applications than what you would see in the traditional apps or even the mobile or the rule-based applications. These applications provide a graphical view of work that needs to be done, labor that is available, appointments that need to be set, resources that are available. There's a rather significant training activity that needs to occur for people to understand how these work. The end goal of these graphical applications is to be able to create schedules that are based upon queries, depending on the work orders you want to look at. Maybe they're PM work orders, maybe they are corrective work orders or project work orders, that sort of thing. To lay them out in a schedule and then to be able to set up your dependencies, which task goes before what other task, extend tasks, things like that, and then be able to publish these schedules so that people can not only see them, but also any changes that you make in the graphical environment are then made in the actual work orders below. So the first one to talk about is graphical scheduling. And this is where you query for the work orders you're interested in. It brings them into a graphical environment, much like a typical Gantt chart with task on the left and the Gantt chart piece over on the right. Graphical assignment is where you're able to see the similar schedule and actually assign available labor based on their calendars and availabilities and things like that. The other graphical applications, such as graphical work week on the top, graphical crew management, and graphical resource view, are visual ways of seeing what the work week looks like, what crews are available, how they're assigned, and then the resources that would be available as well. So between scheduling, assignment, work week, crew management, and resource view, you have a lot of different ways of visualizing what the plan looks like and what the schedules look like. The other application in there is graphical appointment book. And there is a appointment book application under administration that we'll talk about in a future series where you set what an appointment book looks like. And then this particular application is where you actually can see and manage the different appointments that crews may have. The last two pieces of planning and scheduling are the two dashboards, the scheduling dashboard and the dispatching dashboard. The scheduling dashboard is used if you have the optimizer running behind the scenes, and it gives you a sense of how your schedules are performing, which ones are being optimized, that sort of thing. The dispatching dashboard is just that. It is a dashboard for dispatchers to see which crews are where, what they're working on, and that sort of thing. So the planning and scheduling module is very different than most any of the other modules within Manage. All right, so let's talk about the change module next. So the change module only has a couple of applications in it. One we've already talked about is activities and tasks. So let's just take a look at the changes application. So that application, if you take a look at some of the records once you open them up, you kind of get a sense that the changes application is a bit of a cross between a service request and a work order. And so the changes app is really another way of managing work records. You're able to see across the top that it has a plans tab, a related records tab, an actuals tab, a log tab, spec tab, and others. So it's very much like a work order. Again, just another way of managing work with a slightly different record without having to use the entire work order application. Okay, so let's move on to the service level module, and it too just has a couple of applications in it. The first one is service groups. This is where you define the different groups of people within your organization that are providing services either internally or externally to perhaps customers. So the group is simply defined by a name and the type of work that they are doing, whether they are providing the services or whether they are procuring the services. And then the individual services themselves. In the case of a facilities group, perhaps they're providing security, or providing catering, maybe shipping, and those kinds of things. This group will then be associated with a service level agreement here in just a minute. So this is the very first step, is to create this group. And then perhaps you may also down here on the left-hand side associate specific assets or locations for this group to service. The next application is the Service Level Agreements app. This is where you actually define what those service level agreements are. So, for example, if you have a facilities group and you wish to have them respond within 24 hours or resolve the issue within 72 hours, then you can construct this agreement here so that everybody's very clear as to what the expectations are. For an SLA definition, you're also able to indicate what it applies to, which could be just about any record that you'll find in Maximo. Most common, of course, will be for service requests and work orders, in this case, incidents, those kinds of things. Once you've defined the SLA, then you can construct when the start dates, the applicable dates, the calendar this applies to, any commitments that also exist. You can group SLAs together if you would like, and then also you can associate the assets and locations that the SLAs are covered. You are also able to create an escalation so that if for some reason the record, the work order record or service request record has not been resolved or dealt with within the appropriate period of time, then you would get an escalation that can send out emails and things like that. And also note over here on the right-hand side the particular service group that would be responsible to comply with the service level agreement. And finally is the task management module. It just has a single application in it, activities and tasks, and we talked about activities and tasks very briefly in the first part of the work management series of videos. Activities and tasks is really just another way of looking at the tasks and such that are on work orders in a bit more of a granular view. By simply opening up a particular record, you're able to see the specific tasks that are on a particular work order, the resources that are needed, any related records, and actually create logs and things like that. So it's a bit more of a detailed view of across work orders down into their tasks rather than having to open up the individual work order.